Hello, this is Deja with True Vibes Unleashed, and I am here with the ultimate guide to maintaining your dogs at home. With all of this COVID-19 stuff going on, a lot of groomers are closed, including myself. I've had to close for a couple of weeks, and I don't know how long I'm going to be closed, so I wanted a way for you guys to maintain your pups at home until we see each other again. As of right now, pet grooming is not considered essential in the state of Ohio. There's a lot of gray area there, so as we continue to monitor this ever-evolving situation, I want to make sure you guys can make your dogs comfortable at home. So first things first, let's get into some tools that we'll be using. The most important thing you'll need to worry about is brushing. So I have several different brushes here, and I'll explain to you the difference. Okay, first up is the slicker brush. Now, the slicker brush is used for a lot of different coat types. There are some brushes that are better for coat types than others, but your all-around universal brush is going to be the slicker brush. And you'll know it's a slicker brush because if you look closely, the pins are a little bit bent. And I'm a fan of this particular brush because of the coating on the tips. It doesn't scratch the skin as much as other brushes that don't have the coated tip. You can get this brush on Ryan's Pet Supply, and I will include that link in the description below. Next up, we have a pin brush, and these are both pin brushes, but as you'll see, one is a bit thinner than the other and one is contoured a little bit differently. Doesn't make a huge difference. In my opinion, I don't think so. The brush with the thinner pins has been better for dematting in my opinion, but the one with the thicker pins has been better for thicker coats. So your pin brush you want to use for drop coated breeds like Yorkies or Shih Tzus. Here we have the famous Chris Christensen brush that is widely used by a lot of professional groomers. The great thing about this brush is the pins are much longer than a normal slicker brush. And the advantage to that is if you have a dog that has a thicker coat, has much more undercoat, or the coat is longer than normal, this is going to be a great investment for you. If you like your dog to be long and you don't like to spend a lot of time brushing, this is going to be worth the investment. I will also give you an Amazon link to this brush below. Now, technically you could just brush your dog. You could just pick one of these up and go. But what I like to recommend to my clients is to get some kind of conditioning spray. What I have in here is called the Stuff for Dogs. That will also be in a link in the description below. And I have the concentrated one because I'm using this all the time. They have a ready to use version that comes in the bottle, and that's great just for your pet use. The conditioner spray adds moisture to the coat, and when the coat is moisturized, it's much easier to brush it out. I know if I try to brush or comb my hair when it's dry, it just crinkles, it doesn't feel good. Dogs like it a lot better when there's moisture in their coat. For the average owner, he doesn't look matted, he looks fine, but what you really want to do is start from the toes and try to see if you can see their skin. So there are some places where I'm having a harder time seeing his skin, and that is how you can tell mats are forming or little tangles. So he's not in horrible shape. He's actually in great shape for this video because excuse me. Because this is what most of your dogs are going to look like after a few weeks of not being groomed. And if you stay on a schedule, this probably is what they look like by the time they come in. So, no need to worry, no need to fret. We have our brushes here. So let's start with the universal slicker brush. Let's start with what most people do. Most people will take their brush and they'll go through just like this. They'll go down the legs, And you see how even this is crunching? I don't know if you can hear that crunch, but it's just it bothers me. That's why I take my conditioner spray, spray the coat, and now it's gliding through much better. In any case, this is how most people brush, which looks fine, right? But, come here, Ben. But if you look at it, we've only covered the top layer of hair, not all of the hair underneath. So if you're just brushing the top layer, they may look brushed, but once you get to the groomer and they tell you that they're more matted than usual and you don't understand because you've brushed, we're not getting all the hair under here. So in order to combat that, we take our spray it down a little bit. You want to start from the toes where you can see the nails, and we start line brushing. Line brushing is the most thorough way to brush your pet because you're making sure you're getting all the layers and all the hair shafts. It's the best way to make sure you can see the skin. And it's also helpful to keep track of where you are. So I'm not so much brushing all of this as I am doing more of a picking motion, because that slicker brush, the pins in it will pick up the hair as you go. So I'm more so just gently picking at it. Bentley is nervous right now. They're both pretty nervous when they get groomed. They just don't like it much, which is okay. We're doing this for their health and well-being. Even though they don't like it, it's something we have to do to make sure they are well taken care of. So you have the front part of the leg, it looks nice and brushed out. This is when we come back with our 7-inch comb, and we use the coarser side, which means the side that has more space in between the pins, and we check our work. See? Now that looked brushed out, right? But I'm hitting a point where I'm at a tangle. So I don't want to pull on that because that's going to hurt them. So I'm just going to hold that section of hair in between my fingers, and I'm going to go back over with my brush. And you can brush in all directions. If you get to a particularly matted spot, it's good to hold the base of the hair in between your fingertips and work it out, because the less you're pulling on their skin, the less they are going to resist you. Okay, so let's check that spot now. Good. So now that's properly brushed out. We can get a comb through it. So you're going to continue. Got the whole front part of his leg here. This is something I would suggest doing before you give them a bath, because if they have those tangles and you get them wet and it's time to dry them and brush them afterwards, sometimes it's a lot harder to brush it out because the water actually makes mats tighter. So again, I'm moving his leg in a natural position. I'm coming down here, line brushing through the back of his leg. Okay. Checking my work with my comb. Going through. See, I'm even still catching some stuff. Going in there with my brush. See, now I found where this tangle was. I'll go ahead and brush that out. Check again with my comb. Okay, and already you can see the difference between a brushed out leg and a not so brushed out leg. So even though we brushed this leg technically, you can see the difference between a leg that has been half brushed and a leg that has been checked with a comb and thoroughly brushed out. So already he's looking better. Say you don't have a nice fancy grooming table like me and you need to do some of this stuff on the floor. I am down here on the floor, I'm on an older yoga mat, and we'll talk about some things that'll make this easier on you. What I am sitting on is a yoga block, and what this allows me to do is to elongate my spine and make sure that is all in line. I'm going to take a comfortable position, an easy seat. Or if it's more comfortable, you can have your legs straight out in front or out to the side. The most important thing is that you are comfortable. Now, when you're going to brush them on the floor, you want to make sure that you are comfortable, that you are giving off the vibe that this is a good experience. This is a bonding time for your dog, not work. This isn't something to be afraid of, something to get intimidated about. This is bonding time, and you want your dog to understand that. So now I'm going to take my universal slicker brush. Come here, Ben. I'm going to invite him to my seat. We're going to make sure he is comfortable. And you know, dogs are wiggly. They're not gonna stand completely still for you all the time. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of moving around with them. So, keeping your back straight. You can sit in front of a mirror as well. That may make it easier. We still want to line brush. If we're starting from the back, we're gonna work our way up. It should be a pleasant experience. We don't want to tug at and pull on mats because that gives your dog the memory that this is not a pleasant experience. So as much as possible, we want to make sure we're not hurting them. What I like to do is kind of invite them up, give them a little rub on their belly. Ben is wearing a belly wrap because he tends to mark his areas when he's nervous. So because we're on the floor and he is a guest here in my house, we're just gonna keep this on for now. So I'm gonna take my cross-legged position, make sure he's comfortable. He actually wants to come up higher. And you definitely don't wanna rush this, especially the first couple of times, because you don't wanna make them nervous, you don't wanna make them feel like this is something they should be nervous about. So I'm starting from his toes, calming him down, inviting him to stay here in this seat with me. As you can see, he doesn't like it, but he tolerates it well enough. We are going to check our work with the comb. A way you can calm your dogs down if they are just having a hard time is you can squeeze their torso into your body. This creates a calming effect, a lot like a thunder jacket. And sometimes I'll do this with the dogs I'm working on just to calm them down, especially the smaller dogs. And I can already feel he's having a better time. And I do have my back against this wall. It just really helps me to maintain a straight spine. Just holding him, applying that light pressure on his torso. I'm gonna check our work with the comb and see I need to still work on that area. And like I say, you can go in any and all directions. Sometimes if you have a stubborn tangle, going in a different direction may help coax it out. And there we go, we have a lot of that brushed out. Another commonly missed area is the armpits, right up under here. Anywhere that the dog has a lot of friction, anywhere that they move around a lot. So down here, especially dogs with more narrow chests than him, as they walk, it creates friction in their chest, it creates friction underneath their elbow. But right here in this area, as they're moving, my energy right now is very calm, it's cool and collected. He is already worked up, he's already nervous, so me being nervous and feeling sorry for him or anything like that is just gonna make his anxiety go through the roof. So although grooming is a pleasurable experience to a lot of dogs, the ones that are more nervous just need you to be their emotional rock. This is my mom's dog, Miracle. She is a Cocker Spaniel Poodle mix, and she has the perfect hair to teach you guys how to brush a curly coat. She doesn't particularly like to be groomed, which makes her a great candidate for this video. I'm still sitting on my yoga block, or you can sit in a chair or on the couch, whichever is more comfortable for you and your dog. You're going to take your brush, and same thing here. I'm gonna start from the toes. Already she's becoming so much more fluffy. You can do this while you're watching Netflix. Sit there, watch Tiger King or something like that. Hear him yelling about Carol Baskin as you're brushing your dog. And already we've got all of this fluff here. So earlier I mentioned a poodle comb, which is good for your curly, coarse hair breeds like this. And I'm just taking this and going through. We don't want to lick, and we don't. And we're just going through combing, checking our work. Already you can see the difference between the two legs, the leg that is brushed out and the leg that is not brushed out. Now her ears are longer. So we want to start from the tip of the ear. Work our way up. We pull this ear flap forward, check behind the ear. Make sure we get all that. Now we can line brush this way. It's a little bit different when you're sitting down because your perspective is different, but if this is the way that your pet is comfortable and you're comfortable, we can get through that. The back of the leg above the hock right here is a common area that will get mats just because of the way their leg moves. So you really want to make sure you double check that area with your comb. A lot of the times it may look brushed out, but it's not. We're already hitting some resistance there, so we're holding the base, gently working it out. And you can see, even though poodles don't shed, a lot of this stuff will come out. And so let me explain this. All dogs shed. It's just a matter of if it falls out of their coat or not. So you've got straighter hair, the undercoat just falls out. When you have curlier hair, it gets stuck in that hair. And although it doesn't fall out of them and onto the floor, it's in there creating mats. So we want to make sure we brush this kind of stuff out. I would say as long as you do this about every 1 to 2 weeks, you should be good to go. Just remember, the longer you wait, the more time it's going to take.